there are certain things that Greeks maybe won't like you to know or admit anyways. So let's just get right into it. And by the way, I love Greece. I love the Greek people. The reason why I started this channel is because I love my life here in Greece. Okay, but without further ado, let's just get right into the content of the video. So the number one thing, and this is the one that pisses off a lot of Greeks and a lot of people. People don't speak English here in Greece. There, I said it again. This pisses off a lot of Greeks for some reason. I've been living here for 14 years, and one thing is to go to a taverna and order a Greek salad or order coffee or just go to your hotel and say thank you or whatever. And another thing is to get down to the nitty-gritty when it comes down to speaking English, okay? Yes, English is widely spoken here in Greece. However, one thing is for them to speak English, and another thing is for them to actually understand what you're saying. And again, when it comes down to serious issues, when it comes down to dealing with a contract, for example, for, I don't know, if you want to rent a flat or an Airbnb or a misunderstanding in those situations, if the person does not understand what you're saying in English, you know, and if you don't understand Greek, it's going to be very, very difficult. If you want to go to the bank, for example, God forbid you want to speak to a Greek bank in English, good luck with that. And I'm talking from experience, my friend. Yes, there are people that speak English, but the level of English is not what you expected. And I'm talking about services, I'm talking about banks, I'm talking about certain places where you as a foreigner, you might think like, oh, great, I am in a touristy area and I'm just going to walk into the bank and do some business. You might need some help. Even I need help, okay? I speak Greek, but I need help. If it comes down to paperwork or going to deal with some bureaucracy, okay, then I need to bring my wife. And I hate to admit that because I need help. And this is coming from somebody who speaks Greek. I can go and speak Greek. I can go and talk to Greeks. And if you live here in Greece, you should learn Greek. I am a big promoter of people learning Greek if they live here in this country. And the reason why I promote a lot of this is because I know foreigners that live here in Greece that do not want to learn Greek because it's hard. And yes, learning any foreign language is hard. But at the same time, if you live in Greece, you should learn how to speak Greek. I am the first one who's going to say that you should learn Greek, all right? However, on the other side of the coin, don't think that everybody speaks English. They don't, all right? There are real estate agents here, by the way, and I love them, okay? I know most of them anyways, all right? But I know for a fact that a lot of them don't speak any English, and they do business with foreigners, all right? I mean, there's real estate agents that they have the American flag and the Greek flag in their offices, and they don't speak any English. They have to call someone that actually knows English, very basic English, all right? So if you're coming to Greece and you're doing serious business, I highly advise you to get someone that speaks English, or at least do your research. When I'm talking to people that want to relocate here to Greece, Greeks themselves, by the way, that they don't speak Greek, I always advise them to get an accountant that knows English, okay? Get a lawyer that knows English if they're buying property. I mean, I cannot stress this enough, all right? Just because you speak English, that doesn't mean that here in Greece you're going to be able to do business in English, okay? Unless you find someone that actually speaks the language, all right? And that's the way it should be to a certain extent because we live in Greece. And here in Greece, we speak Greek. There are many situations, all right, where I've been over the phone to certain institutions which you will expect them to speak English and they don't. They actually hang up the phone and say to me that they're going to call me back with a colleague that actually speaks English. This applies to banks and different institutions here in Greece where you will expect them to have a decent level of English in order to deal with certain things. All right. And whenever the person calls me back, that is the person who actually knows how to speak English, the English level is very poor, and I have to meet them halfway, meaning that I have to speak Greek and English, or half, all right? And the reason why is because, yeah, I speak Greek, but when it comes down to bureaucracy and when it comes down to different terminology, you know, everyday language is okay, but if I'm talking about certain topics and terms that I'm not really familiarized with, then, I'm going to have a hard time understanding, especially if it's something that is delicate, if it has to do with paperwork, with, for example, with taxation, right? Euforia. I don't want to miss something, and then I say yes to something that I shouldn't have said yes to because I don't understand. So even I need help. Greeks are famous for red tape and bureaucracy. Now, this is not something that they're proud of anyways. This is not something that they want you to know about, I've talked about this before, fakelaki, tax evasion, but leaving all of those things aside, just doing anything that in other countries could be done online, for example. Here's a different story. Here is actual physical paper. Here is actually you going and queuing somewhere with a piece of paper and photocopies with a stamp. There's many things that are still done like this here in Greece. It's part of daily life here in Greece. Actual physical paper with a stamp and going in person, all right, to do something that probably can be done online in different countries. All right. But yeah, there are things that you can do online. Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. There's a lot of things that have slowly but surely gotten online. There's many things that you can do online. I mean, in fact, you don't need to go in person and pay, bills in person anymore. Online banking, is here, right? And yes, a lot of people have trouble with this. A lot of people are skeptical with a lot of things online here in Greece. They don't understand, especially elderly people, of course. They don't understand how you can pay your bills or how can you see your bank balance on your smartphone, right? And I understand that, it's hard to adapt in a changing world. But what this does is that this actually helps shortcut really the process and actually avoid bureaucracy. And that's why it's so important to be updated with all of those things. Like, yes, if you are running an online business like I do, for example, for me it's impossible to have Mavra, okay? Because if you don't know what Mavra is, it's pretty much just money under the table, all right? Which is something that is very common here in Greece, all right? The odd jobs here and there without a receipt, or fakelaki, which is topics that I have spoken before in different videos, and it's just part of the culture. But for example, for someone like me, it's technically impossible to do this because everything is traceable. Like I earn money online. In fact, I earn money in dollars, US dollars, and it goes through certain services like Stripe or PayPal or whatever. And that gets, is traceable. And then it gets here to Greece, is converted in euros, and then it comes to my bank account. I have an accountant who deals with that, and I have to pay my income tax based on my income and pay my contributions. And, I have been audited by the system, by Euforia, okay? I think more than once, actually. And these are things that just happened, okay? And I have nothing to hide, okay? But at the same time, you have to understand that bureaucracy here in Greece, not declaring how much money people really make, and yet they own different properties and pieces of land and all of this. It's a thing here in Greece, all right? When you see doctors and lawyers and declaring, that they earn, under 10,000 euros a year, and yet they have a certain lifestyle, it's kind of like a big problem here in Greece. And yes, tax evasion is a big thing. Slowly is changing. Like I said, with things being more digitalized and being online, nowadays you can actually go to the Laiki Agora, which is a farmer's market, and you can actually pay buying your fresh fruit and veg in the farmer's market with your card, with a debit card. They have machines. I think that now has become the law to actually have a card machine in a shop. But this is something that is happening here in Greece, that you're not allowed to have a shop and not have a card in order to accept payments, which is a great way to, again, avoid tax evasion, avoid doing weird things like not ringing in the money when you're getting paid in a shop and not having a receipt. There's plenty of paper around that says that you're not obliged to pay if you don't get a receipt from the shop. Again, this is all in Greek, and sometimes it's in Greek and in English as well, so you know. And the conversation that taxes here, that here we pay a lot of tax. Yes, man, I pay a lot of tax. Okay, I pay a lot of income tax every single month. And I've mentioned this before. I pay a ridiculous amount of money in tax because of my income tax, okay? But it's a lot of money, man. And that's because here in Greece is high taxation. So yeah, Greeks will tell you that the reason why they do things under the table without receipts and mavra and all of this is because of that. It's because of the taxation. But it's a never-ending cycle of the system. There's no money into the system, and people want to run away from it, like not pay taxes, and because it's too much, right? It all comes down to how can you legally reduce your taxes. That's something that I will be more interested in instead of avoiding taxes, because the last thing I want is for somebody like Euphoria, for example, to knock my door and say that I owe taxes because I've been avoiding them. You know, and this is one of the things that I got into very earlier on while I was working online, and said, I want to make sure that I'm running a legit business here, and I don't want any funny surprises, especially here in Greece, because here in Greece, like I mentioned, bureaucracy is a real thing, a lot of red tape and a lot of, things that could happen that I don't want to be caught up in the middle of it all, okay? Especially when it comes down to what I do online. Kalimera. All right. Especially when it comes down to what I do in terms of earning money online and then getting here to Greece, because, it could raise a red flag very, very quickly. And that's the last thing I want. So I play by the rules. I like to just contribute, be happy about it. It's an open book. This is what I do. This is how much I earn. This is how much I pay. And, it is what it is. But when it comes down to tax evasion, and when it comes down to bureaucracy, and when it comes down to certain things that could be improved here in Greece, there's still a long way to go. Greeks are not racist, all right? They're not racist. The term xenophobia, all right, comes from the Greek word, or what it means really is the fear of strangers, okay? Xenos is a foreigner. So I am an xeno, all right? So xenophobia, that's a Greek word. And you probably know this word very, very well. A phobia is the fear of the xeno in this case. Xenodohio is another word with the word xeno in it. Now, Greeks are not racist. If anything, Greeks are really famous for being welcoming to foreigners, okay? The word philoxenia is another important Greek word, which Greece is associated with, all right? However, when it comes down to comparing Greece with other cultures or other cities or other European cities, there is not a lot of diversity when it comes down to race. Now, okay, I'm going to give you a real life example here. So when we moved here to Greece, and we were living in Elefsina, which is where my wife comes from. We had two friends that traveled from London all the way to Elefsina in order to visit us. One of them is black. Fully British black lady, all right? Lovely friend. And, when she arrived, the first thing she mentioned to us is that there is nobody else that is black around. Okay. Now, Elefsina is not Athens, of course, but this is something that was brought to her attention immediately. They went to Athens, of course, to go to the Acropolis and to do the things that tourists do. But she very quickly realized that, she felt like, okay, there's not other black people, right, in Greece. I have a good friend that he's actually black here in Nashville where I live. He's a very good friend. But I know for a fact that he is the only black that I know that lives here. All right? And I know that when he goes, for example, to the gym, which is the gym that I go to, and I know that people are not racist, but you can't help to notice, right? You know, certain things, because there's nobody else around like that, okay? There is nobody else that is the same race. And I'm just saying that this is something that, yes, maybe in a small community like the one that I live in, is something that you won't see around. There are a few Greeks actually who are. That are actually black, born and raised here in Greece. You know, there's a very famous basketball player right now who happens to be black, right? And he's Greek. Again, this is a touchy subject. I did not want to mention this, but you know, even for this type of people that have been born and raised here in Greece, it's been a real nightmare for them to get their own citizenship and their own papers. And that's because of the color of the skin and the bureaucracy. And I don't mean, Greeks know about this, by the way. Greeks know about this very, very well. And it's a touchy subject, but this is something that, you know, you have to know. Okay, so if you live in a small town or in a small village, it can be very hard for you to integrate. It could be very, very hard for you to be part of the community. And one of the reasons why I take a lot of pride in me sharing my interaction with the locals and the way I have integrated into the community is because of that, because I believe that foreigners can integrate into the community. Now, if you're just a tourist, you're just visiting Greece, you're just gonna see a different side of Greece. You're just gonna see very welcoming to tourists and to foreigners. You're just passing by. So it's perfectly normal for you to be in a village or somewhere and be very welcome by the locals and you know. However, if you live in the village, even for a short period of time, so for long periods of time, and you know, it can be very hard for you to integrate, because everybody knows everybody else's business, and everybody, you know, yeah, there's a lot of gossip. I like it like that. I like a good, tight community where people know who I am and they know my children. They know what I do. As you can see, I do these videos here in public, outdoors. I live in a small community, very small community. In fact, I have more subscribers on this YouTube channel than the size of the community where I live in terms of the population, just to give you a little bit of perspective. And, you know, I like it like that. I like to walk down the street and say hi to people, for them to know who I am. And even if they know that I am a foreigner that does YouTube videos about my life here in Greece, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. And I want them to know my children. I want them to know my business. Yes, there's a negative side to it. Of course, I'm not gonna deny it. The term kuchobola, right, is something that is real here in Greece. Like everybody like trying to, you know, see what you're doing, and you know, Greeks get angry about that, okay, because one of the things that Greeks really like when they move abroad, when they travel and they move to a different country, is that they can finally get rid of that Greekness of everybody else's knowing who you are, that you're the son or the daughter of Takis, or you're the son or the daughter of Yorgos, right? There's a lot of that here in Greece. This is part of the Greek culture. When you live in a small town, and you know, and even I will say that across the board in Greece, that your identity is tied very closely to your family, to your father's name. Okay, I mean, here in Greece, for example, when you do anything, when it comes down to paperwork, one of the things that they ask you is your father's name. Right? And even for me, that I'm a foreigner, when I'm dealing with anything, I have to give my afimi, I have to give my date of birth, and my father's name. And I know for a fact, because I know I'm married to a Greek, by the way, that one of the things that a lot of Greeks feel like they want to shake off some of these things, especially when they're younger and they want to grow independent, is that they don't want to be associated like that. They want to be individuals. They want to be themselves. They want to have their own identity. So a part of the Greek psychic has to do a lot with that, the identity and how close families are, how close small communities are, and the culture. But again, this is one of the reasons why I came here to Greece in the first place, because I love that about the Greek culture. I love how family-oriented Greece is, how the Greeks are everything is the family. And yes, everybody is in everybody else's business. I have dealt with it throughout the years. I have seen everything, man. Okay, with my in-laws, with the family of my wife's, which is my family, right? When there's a saying that they say, when you marry to a Greek, you marry to their family, and that is true. And but there is a way as well to find a balance. There is a way to actually still live your life and still keep that tradition and that Greek culture alive of the family. If you've been following me, you know that all of my videos and everything that I speak about here on this channel, even though I'm a foreigner living in Greece, I am a family man. I am a very orthodox family man, okay? Meaning that I believe in the family, I believe in children, I believe that in making a change in the world starts with a home, starts with a family, starts with the traditions, starts with the values, all right? And if you've been following me, you know that I preach that quite a lot. In fact, I have gotten a lot of heat because I have touched on those topics as well on previous videos, talking about the fact that Greeks do not, have children anymore, because yes, there's not enough young people here in the country. The birth rate is just non-existent pretty much, like in many other countries as well. It's not just Greece that suffers from this, and the population is just declining. I have touched on that, and whenever I have expressed this, that I believe in the family, I believe that people should get married, the young people should aim to have a family and to give birth to the future generations, because that's what's going to carry on this country moving forward. I have gotten a lot of heat because then you're touching on a very sensitive topic, all right? But when it comes down to close-knit communities, there is many negatives to that, but I think it's a good thing as well. And yes, I get, I may get stopped by someone in this path. Actually, at this very spot is where I met this lady. I gotta be careful with the words I use, because I was as well attacked by many people that when I mention certain words, because the lady was of a certain age. So I don't want to offend anybody, even though I'm sure I pissed off a lot of people with this video. But it was precisely on this spot, and I don't have a problem in meeting people and people to know who I am and what I do. I like this about a small community. I feel safe. I feel that my children are safe. And, but yes, like everything, it has a positive and a negative. But I do believe that a lot of foreigners struggle with this. And I know this for a fact, because a lot of foreigners, if they don't speak the language, it's a very hard thing for them to integrate into the community. If they don't understand the unwritten rules of the culture here in Greece, it's going to be extremely hard. If you can't read, what's happening, you're going to feel left out. And, as a foreigner myself, yes, because I've been living here for many, many years, I understand the social cues very, very well. More than what the Greeks will like them for me to know. And it's one of the reasons why I do this type of videos, because, I know how it is. Okay, so I'm the insider. And I'm not the insider in order to promote a negative side of Greece. Not at all. On the contrary, I want to be the person who's actually painting a nice image of Greece, and I want to be fair and balanced as well, right? Again, I've been accused of only talking of the good things of Greece, but, there are many things that, you might not know, and I know. And if you're a foreigner, you might have heard a thing here and there on some forum online, but there's not many videos about these topics. There's not many people actually talking about it very openly and saying, like, you know, this is what's happening here. And this is what I have experienced as well. And with that being said, my friend, I hope this video finds you well. I hope that you find these insights, helpful to you. If you're coming to Greece, if you're traveling to Greece, or if you just want to move here to Greece, I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for the love and support. Σας αγαπάω πάρα πολύ όπως πάντα. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in another video, my friend.